Hello, I'm Tanya.
And I'm David.
And we are out side by side.
This weekend, we are at Seminole Canyon State Park in West Texas.
Seminole Canyon is known for ancient petrographs that date back thousands of years.
And also the cliff dwellings.
So stay tuned for more of this amazing park.
Thank you for watching.
Look at that view.
Seminole Canyon State Park and Historic Site lies in Val Verde County, west of Comstock, which is located in the West Texas region.
Early canyon dwellers left clues to their lives on the stone walls of Seminole Canyon. Their pictographs tell stories that we try to understand today. The park offers camping, biking, bird watching, backpacking, and archaeological study. Cave art and archaeological artifacts date back to the earliest human habitation in the area.
The park store is pretty small and offers cold drinks, souvenirs, gifts, and books. It does not offer camping supplies or food. The closest store to Seminole Canyon is 8 miles, so make sure you are well equipped.
There are 46 campsites total, 23 with electricity, 8 sites with water, and 15 primitive sites. If you plan on camping at Seminole Canyon State Park, stay tuned for our upcoming video showing our top picks for campsites, which will be coming out next week.
We stayed in campsite number 26, and we believe that this is one of the best sites in the park. So here's a kind of a quick view of our site. Here's our truck and our trailer. And it also has a shelter with a table with a fire pit. And as you can see, there's really, from our neighbor over here, which is actually behind us, we have a great view, almost 180 degrees before we see any other neighbors on this side.
Our first day at Seminole Canyon, we signed up for the Fate Bell Shelter Tour, which is $8 per person and holds some of Texas' most spectacular rock art.
I'll be your guide this afternoon. My name is Jim, and while we're on the tour, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask me or my assistant over here, the Junior Ranger. Between the two of us, we'll be able to answer all of your questions. When we get down to the Fate Bell Shelter, you'll see this figure painted over and over down there. And in the lower Pecos Canyonlands, we have over 350 sites that have pictographs in them. And so what you're going to see today is just a small, tiny percentage of all of the rock art that we have out here. When the park took this property over, bought it from a landowner in 1979 roughly, they looked around at the histories of the lower Pecos area, and they found a man that lived back in the early 1900s as a famous rancher and pioneer. And so his name was Fate, F-A-T-E, Bell, Fate Bell. And so in his honor, they named this shelter after Fate Bell, after that pioneer rancher. It's one of the largest rock shelters in the Southwest. And they led a lot of their lives in rock shelters here in the lower Pecos. Primarily, they lived in the rock shelters during the cold months of the winter and the very hot months of the summer. Other than that, during the spring and fall months, primarily they lived out in the open area in wiki huts that they made out of natural materials. So, and I might mention this also, most of the shelters here that were occupied the heaviest through the centuries faced southeast. Why do you think that was? The cold wind coming out of the north in the winter times, they didn't have to worry about that because they were nice and warm and snug inside a shelter facing the other way. And during the summer months, even though it's hot here, I've been in Fate Bell during August and July and so forth, and there's always a nice 10-mile-an-hour breeze coming from the southeast. It's real pleasant inside, not outside, but pleasant inside. And so it made a big difference to these people. They were very, very intelligent people. Seminole Canyon is named after the famous Seminole Indian scouts that the U.S. Army hired back in the 1870s, 1880s, and 1890s to fight the Comanches. Of course, they had the horse by that time. They came roaring down through here into Mexico, raiding in Mexico, gathering, getting horses and cattle and taking them back up to the Midwest, or to the Great Plains area in central Texas. They were hired, the Seminole Scouts were hired to fight those Comanches, and they lived in a fort over here in Brackettville, east of Del Rio, and Fort Clark, and they did a very good job. The 3 or 4 of them earned the Medal of Honor for their bravery and so forth in the fights against the Comanches. When they came through this area, they lived around the corner up here. It was called Seminole Springs, a natural spring. And they camped there coming and going. And so in their honor, again, just like Fate Bell, they named this canyon after those famous scouts. Okay, anytime you get a chance to take a look at rock art throughout the Americas or Australia or any European countries, Africa, and you look at the rock art, you got to think of 2 things. Golden arches of McDonald's and the swoosh of Nike. Because what do they represent? They represent they're symbols of the companies that they represent, so to speak. These people didn't have an ABC language, but they had a symbolic language. And the pictographs that you see on the ceiling here are repeated around the lower Pecos Canyonlands over and over again, because each one of them meant something to the people that painted them and to the people that traveled around with the artist that painted these pictographs. They all had a meaning, a symbolic meaning. So they had a symbolic language, a vocabulary, and an alphabet in the pictographs that they painted. The only exception here in this shelter is Flinfield and Maynard. Mr. Flinfield and Mr. Maynard helped build the railroad from San Antonio to El Paso, and they came right through this park back in the late 1870s and 1880s. And you'll notice the date under Flinfield of June of 1884. The VV23 over there stands for Val Verde County, which we're in Archaeological Site 73. So Flinfield and Maynard used good old railroad black paint. They have been here now for, 140 years roughly. And they'll be here, their names will be on this shelter for a lot longer time period.
Rio Grande.
Rio Grande.
Rio Grande.
Rio Grande. Rio Grande or Rio Grande?
But Rio Grande is the...
Is it Rio Grande or Rio Grande? We're at an impasse. Do we do 4.9 miles at the Canyon Rim Trail, or do we do 2.5 miles at the Rio Grande Trail? I want to do the Canyon Rim Trail.
And I want to do the short, easy one.
Can we please do the Canyon Rim Trail? I'm going to regret it.
Yeah, you are. So am I.
Yay! We get to do the Canyon Rim Trail! Yay! behind you is Panther Cave, which is right at the border of Mexico and the U.S.
And behind us over here, that cliff, that's Mexico. So that's the Rio Grande. And then this is where Seminole Canyon meets up with the Rio Grande.
We hope you like our video at Seminole Canyon State Park. If you've been to this state park, let us know what your favorite thing to do here was.
We really appreciate you guys watching our videos. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We'll catch you on our next journey.
Take care.
Bye.